Alright, welcome to my final submission for AGDQ 2021. I present to you Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots on PS3. I will be running this on the Boss Extreme, or Extreme for short. It's the highest difficulty. I'll be running this on New Game Plus, which means I have unlockable weapons and accessories from past playthroughs, as well as a hefty supply of Drebin points for anything necessary out of the Drebin shop. And I will be running the any % category, which means I am just completing this for speed, kills, healing items used, continues, provided there aren't any, will not matter, and it will not be going for any rank in particular. This game has not made a GDQ appearance since GDQ has started many years ago, so we hope to have this game get in. I tried submitting this game last event for SGDQ 2020 for the big boss category, but I decided to go with any % this time. It seems to be more of a comfort strength for me as far as like consistency, and just from a personal level, it's not as stressful because big boss ranks in this game are very hard to get and it's very easy to lose. Now I'll be loading in a save, which is different than, you know, entering a new game from the menu and then selecting difficulty and starting. The speedrunning community agrees. Sitting through 2.5 minutes of commercials is not worth your time. This load is the very first point in the game when you actually have control of Snake, with a timestamp of 2 minutes, 34 seconds, 35, or 36 seconds, depending on variations between consoles and, you know, how you play the game. So the time will start once I load this in and hit start, once the loading sequence is done, which will be in 3, 2, 1, and go. Alright, so even though this is New Game Plus, we actually start the game the exact same way every time, where you don't have any of your gear or items from past playthroughs. You will skip certain weapon prompts, as in, you know, whenever you pick up a new weapon, you get like a thing on your screen that says, hey, you acquired this weapon. But since I've already acquired the AK, I won't have to skip it. So, we're tasked with dodging the geckos by just running past them. Make sure not to be hit by them because, you know, even though Otacon says, you know, do everything you can to avoid them, but the thing of it is, the geckos in this game on the Boss Extreme, they're actually very deadly because, you know, they do the most damage, despite the fact if you have any healing items on you. There's a particular sweep motion that they can do, which is an insta-kill. So in short, just avoid the geckos. Which is also interesting because even though you hear the alert chime, the alert buzzer when you run through there, the alert actually doesn't get counted there. Which is something I never knew about personally for years. Like, I always figured if you hear the alert buzzer, that was it. But on the contrary, we're going to be hearing that quite a lot because unlike the big boss runs where you're trying to avoid being detected, we're just steamrolling through rooms. With the exception of this section here, because again, it's kind of considered new game. I'm still vulnerable. I don't want to get into any unnecessary fights. So, what we're going to do here is go into this side room and then fire some rounds in the wall right about here, which is going to distract guards into taking cover, getting on the radio, skipping what would normally be a cutscene of seeing this tank pull up and unloading soldiers, basically giving me an opening, shoot the barrel for a distraction while holding up this guard. You know, because when you hold them up like that, they just go to the ground and just stay there while I just run through unopposed. Now, this point is where the category separates. For a big boss run, they would do certain things to avoid detection. But you know what? We're gonna be fast and just do it the nicer way, which is just run on through. And if they see me, they can try their best to stop me. So we use the stun knife, using the stun secondary function rather than, you know, the slashing. The stun is instantaneous. They just get hit once and they're knocked out. Roll into the loading zone. And now at this point, it becomes New Game Plus, where you acquire everything that you've done in past playthroughs, which include disguises, weapons, ammo, and all that good stuff. So we're gonna equip not only the Middle Eastern disguise, but the Big Boss face mask. Now, you normally get this Big Boss mask once you beat the game with the Big Boss rank, which is rewarded to you for getting it. And the uniqueness to the Big Boss mask in this game is that if any guard looks at you straight forward, they just kind of go into a panic. You know, they see some, like, burnt skeleton-looking guy running around. They don't know who he is, and, you know, so they just kind of go into a panic and, you know, go down to the ground in fear. This is used a lot in any percent, since, again, we don't really care for alerts. Yeah, so that kind of just demonstrates what this does. It only works up close, and they have to be facing you. If they're looking at you from behind, it will not work. But yeah, you could say that, you know, I showed up early for Halloween, you know? I mean, this is what I'm going trick-or-treating with. And, you know, these guys are just kind of going into a panic. But the reason for the Middle Eastern disguise is so that normally when you go through here, the rebels will be alerted to you as an enemy. But by having the disguise on, they just see you as a really conflicted ally. You know, they don't see me as a threat, but, you know, they just kind of go into a panic whenever they see me. I don't know, it's sort of a strange relationship, but hey, as long as they don't try to kill me, you know, that's for the better. Because unlike kills, alerts, and healing items used, continues is the one thing I want to avoid, since that is the one thing that will actually lose me time. So, we met up with Drebin, got some more gear. He also injected us with a new type of nanomachine strain, which allows us to use weapons, which in this time period, they're actually ID locked. So, little booster shot and fixes it up. So, I'm going to be setting up things I will need later by equipping the shotgun sub-attachment for the M4, the MGL140, which is a multi-round grenade launcher, which you normally get for beating Raging Raven in Act 3. Next, we are going to equip the P90. Let's see, the stun grenade. Actually, no, wait, I'm sorry, the smoke grenade. Followed by, let's see, the sleep gas satchels. Let's see, and then, of course, the items. We're going to be equipping the syringe, the iPod for later, as well as the noodles and regain, which are actually higher valued healing items versus the ration. The ration is the most common to find, but only heals HP, not your psyche or stamina gauge. The noodles and regain do more healing, as well as recover stamina. Alright, so you're gonna see me hit the ground there while going prone, and then standing up as I trigger that little cutscene. By going prone and then triggering that little cutscene for that chunk of rubble to fall down, you can actually, you know, be able to remain moving while it falls down. Normally, you kind of like, you know, you get stunned in place. So it's just a little minor optimization just for, you know, skipping it. Alright, so I'm going to be using the smoke grenade that I put in place earlier. Let's see, so we're going to go operator, smoke, and MGL. Now, because it's New Game Plus and I've acquired these items over various difficulties, these particular smokes are more than just for show, but they actually have a different color set, where the different set do different things to them. So, like, they do different type of motion effects, where yellow will actually make them laugh hysterically. Alright, so I'm just equipping my syringe for safety here, because I did get spotted a little bit earlier than I would like, but it's still okay. So we're gonna throw smoke at the corner. And then just keep moving. Because even though I can take some damage, I do want to try to avoid some damage where sometimes they'll result in a critical hit or a mini stun when Snake gets shot by it. So sometimes you'll see me do certain things to either disorient guards, misdirect them, or in this case use smokes. But we're just running from point A to point B as fast as possible. So we're in the palace now. We're going to regroup, or rather, we're going to rendezvous with Meryl's team, who is in the top floor. And you're seeing me use the MGL grenade launcher, which is meant to shoot and disable these sleek gas mines that Johnny planted. Okay, that was definitely for flare factor. That was not intended. But we're now gonna swap out of this for... I'm trying to think. Let's see, I believe these become... Actually, no, wait. Yeah, those stay. I'm thinking of big boss strats for a moment where I just rotate inventory around. But rather what we're gonna do is swap that to a non-lethal variant, because the MGL140 has different types of rounds you can put in. And so in this case, we're swapping it to stun nades, which are going to be used later in Act 3. So, met up with Meryl's team. She kind of goes over things, you know, what they're up to. Where now we're going up against the Frog unit, which are an elite group of guards that are controlled by Liquid. Alright, so we're just gonna let the mask kind of do its job while we use the P90 to, you know, take care of the rest that are out of range of the mask. And then why the P90 over any other weapon? It has really good accuracy, despite the fact that it's a submachine gun. So I'm punching Jonathan there, not just for fun, but I'm trying to ensure a setup where Meryl enters that stairway first, because it'll make these frogs that I just stunned show up faster rather than having to wait. And I planted a satchel up top, which is part of a setup here, because these frogs spawn in particular ways. So as soon as I hear some footsteps hit the ceiling, I'm gonna trigger the first I'm gonna trigger the first satchel I planted, which was at the very top. And by doing so, it takes out a group of frogs that spawn up there. And by taking them out early, it again just makes this encounter go by faster. Don't have to wait. Meryl's team doesn't get slowed down by them. Next, they're gonna wait for Meryl to say contact, which we're gonna detonate the other satchel in that corner. Takes out a group. We're gonna shoot the stun nade MGL at this wall right here. Take out those two, and then trigger the other satchel to take out the remaining two frogs there. I feel like I missed one. Oh, never mind then. I guess maybe Meryl's team was just a little trigger happy. You know, whenever they start shooting randomly, I'm thinking, okay, there must be a loose frog somewhere. But that went fairly well, because, again, we're just using known spawn points for guards, or, you know, the frogs in this case, and I'm doing this again right here, which I'm going to plant 1, 2, 3, for a total of 5. And again, this is just meant for a preemptive setup. And then as Meryl's team makes her way down, we're gonna do a really funky setup, which we're gonna punch the whole group once, punch Johnny twice. What this does is it skips what's normally a scripted sequence where Johnny kind of, you know, has to go to the restroom. You know, he's kind of like, you know, he's trying to hold it in, and, you know, Meryl's like, get out of the way. So, rather than wait for that, we're just gonna skip it. It makes the encounter move along. It's just all for optimization. Alright, now we just chill here for a while. And wait for this wall to come down.
Oh my god!
Dito Beckman, thank you for the follow. Alright, so as soon as this wall comes down, remember those 5 satchels I planted before this? So what we're gonna do is run on through. As soon as those stun nades go off, I'm gonna detonate all 5 that I planted, which is not for this group, but it's for all the other frogs that actually leap in to where I planted them. And then we're just gonna take out the 2 remaining ones, which will spawn right here and right here. Just give her a little light tap. So, like the PMC guards, if they see you with the mask on, they go into a panic and, you know, are kind of like disabled. But with the frogs, they just faint. So, the mask still works, but they just react a little differently than the PMCs do. And I actually like this because it's faster. They're knocked out of the way. You don't have to hear this blubbering panic in the distance. I don't know, it's just one of the things you gotta put up with when you run this over and over again. Alright, we got the thumbs up from Johnny. We disable the laser traps, so we're gonna do another minor optimization here.
Get over here!
Which we're gonna let Jonathan go first. You know, because we're such a nice guy. Which is then followed by jumping on top of him. So, doing that right there skips another waiting sequence like the stairwell at the beginning, which allows this bulldozer to get in sooner. And it is funny. Okay, so we're gonna take out this group of 4. Take out this frog up here, or try to. And just like that, that's a wrap. So we're just gonna congratulate them by jabbing them. And again, like when I jumped on top of Jonathan, punching them at the doorway like that skips a little dialogue sequence when you get Meryl's team to the elevator. So it's amazing. There's like these little skips you can do that do save, like, you know, a couple seconds here, you know, a couple seconds there. Sometimes it's like 10 plus seconds, depending on what it is, because it's usually on things where you have to wait. You know, whether if it's a scripted sequence, I don't know, whatever it may be, but it's just truly amazing, like, how people find these things. Alright, so we're done with the frog encounter. We're now making our way through the rest of Act 1, going into what I call Tank Alley, which you will find out in a little bit
Oh my god!
why it's called that. So again, we're just gonna do some more inventory management, where we're gonna swap out the P90 for the M82A2, or the 50 cal for short. So it's the 50 caliber sniper rifle, which is unlockable through the Drebin shop, which, since I've already played the game, I've gotten it already, so it's already there for me. And then we're gonna equip the railgun, which is normally accessible after you beat Crying Wolf in Act 4. Again, as a New Game Plus carryover. Hey, what's up, big boss? So, the Rebels got a tank. You know, they have the upper hand, makes the PMCs fall back, so we're gonna use this skirmish to our advantage. So what we're gonna do here is just run on through, and then we're gonna throw a laughing grenade at that corner, which is gonna not really just give me cover exactly, but it's gonna, you know, just contest these guys so I don't take as much damage. Throw it around this van here, as well as this sandbag of these 2 that are posted there. So we're gonna climb this ladder, since it's faster to exit this stage going up this way, rather than waiting for the tank to make its way to the end and then blowing the barricade open. And you might wonder why the yellow smokes out of all the other types, you know, red, blue, and green, and yellow. It's just out of preference. There's just nothing more hilarious than leaving a level when the PMC guards are just laughing their butts off. You know, it's like you never get tired of the fact that, like, as you're getting away from them successfully, and they're just laughing maniacally, it's so much fun. So I'm gonna do a misdirect shot here, which will make these two guys turn around sooner. Again, because unless if they face front, they will not see the big boss mask being used. Throw a smoke at the guy in the turret, and then just make our way across. And you'll see me pop the syringe, because whenever the stress meter goes above 50% and it turns red, that means Snake's stamina is going to start to decline, or his psyche meter. And so the syringe gives you full stamina boost, and it holds it that way momentarily. And so the syringe is acquired in Act 2 when you meet up with Naomi in the lab. And being New Game Plus, I already have it, so I don't have to use items that will address with, you know, stamina loss. And the syringe will just take care of it for me. And that does it for Act 1 for 20 minutes flat. Man, that is actually a rarity to get, like, a nice round number for Act 1. But ideally, you want to get, like, 20 minutes or less. I think my best on this one, I believe, was, like, either a close to what would be 19 minutes, but it would require, you know, really crisp menuing, good movement, RNG as far as, you know, the frog encounter. You know, no frogs were, you know, delaying anything, and things of that nature. But 20 minutes is still pretty good. Because I can imagine for some, like, including myself when I was playing this when I was younger, is that Act 1 would usually take me, like, hours. You know, like an hour to figure out. Even if trying to go for something like Big Boss Rank. And I just completed it in 20 minutes. You know, so it's almost like at times it's hard to, like, believe that, you know, when I get through it. Alright, so we're going into Act 2. Act 1 is just more or less the beginning. And then Act 2 is now we're in South America. You know, going to locate and rendezvous with Naomi. So, again, we're going to equip the Big Boss Mask. And then I'm going to double check my inventory on how many grenades I have. So I'm a little bit low on the yellow, so I'm going to swap them out and put in the... Let's see. Actually, no, those weapons are good. Let's see. I'm trying to think here. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to set up for the next act by having the VZ-83, or... Actually, no, I take that back. I'm going to have stuns, which is going to be setting up for a fight later, in addition to what I'm going to need that other weapon for in Act 3. So, again, we're just running through. Guards are freaking out. Nothing new here. Alright, so I ran out of rations, but I will reacquire some along the way. And so what I'm going to do is just swap to noodles. And wow, they're trying to figure out what the heck's going on. We're just going to make our way through. So I'm going to throw a grenade at the top there, which is going to hopefully catch a group of guards coming in. And you might see me try to address some guards indirectly, because, again, I'm just anticipating that the mask is going to, you know, do the work for me if I'm in range. Oh my goodness. Oh, they are not playing along with me today. Yeah, sometimes that happens. You know, which is why, you know, we carry the max amount of healing items we have, which are 3 rations, 3 noodles, and 3 regains. Hopefully not having to use all of them, but they're there for, you know, when those encounters happen. Yeah, the rebels don't really, they don't really take kindly to me. You know, I kind of scare them. So we're just gonna run through as we've been doing. Okay, then we're just gonna follow these guys out.
This is HQ. Acknowledged. Sending
I don't know why, but that's just so funny. Like, it's like he's noticing there's someone behind him, but they just do nothing about it. You know, I wonder if they're related to the guards of MGS3 in some way, where they're just completely unaware of what's going on around them.
Who? Huh? What?
Okay, I'm not that scary. Okay, maybe just a little bit. So, we're at the power station. There's normally a thing where you have to take out a power box to gain access to the pylons for things and help the rebels win, but we don't have time for that. So we're gonna throw 1, 2, and then a third smoke in the corner, just as a backup measure. And then the red smokes, like the yellow, have a different emotion type, which I don't know if I went over it in detail, but yellows are for laughing, red is rage, blue is for sadness, and green is fear, which represent the 4 different types of emotion the Beauty and Beast bosses are themed after. And likely there are grenade types and aesthetic rounds also doing the same thing, which we'll be using those later throughout the run. But for the most part, we're just going from one place to the next.
Hey.
So I'm gonna shoot the ground here like before, make this guy turn around a little bit sooner, sees the mask, freaks out, and then just keep rolling. Next you're gonna see me use the auto aim while tapping this guy once, twice, and again that's just to help stagger them so I can close the distance and let the mask take over, because again it only works in close range quarters. So it will not work from very far away. And then, unlike in MGS3, using the box to go up these hills doesn't work as well, so we just stick with rolling. Because I think they got wise to, you know, how powerful the box was in, you know, MGS3. So not only is the box not really as useful, but it's not really that fast at all. You actually slow down when you equip the box or the drum roll barrel. So for inclines, we just go with rolling. Alright, so we're gonna let this tank pass. It doesn't really matter if it spots us or not, but I'm just gonna do it for safety. Because if it stops and tries to attack me, it will do a lot of damage. Okay, so while that guy's panicking, we're gonna throw a grenade in the distance there. Again, as another safety factor. And same with this other guard here. Now, normally for big boss runs, instead of going this way, they would opt to go left. In the, you know, when there's a fork in the road. And the reason why I'm going this way is, you know, because it's any percent, we don't really need to position ourselves in a place that's, you know, ideal for, you know, stealth approaches. You know, we're just trying to get through as fast as possible. And so we do the right path instead of the left.
Who? Huh? Get the enemy!
Yeah, they're happy to see me, clearly. Alright, so again, we just do these taps. You know, just hit him in the body somewhere. Closes the distance, and then by hitting this trigger line, we spawn in this armored bulldozer, which is going to take down a gate to actually gain access to the lab.
Got an armored dozer. They're probably going to use it to bust their way into the mansion. Give it some cover, and it might get you inside the compound.
Man, they are just doing a lot of damage to me, it seems. Alright, so while they're fighting the PMCs, I'm just gonna make my own way in.
Somewhere inside those mansion grounds. Proceed immediately. Infiltrate the place and find out where she
Stand by. Sending reinforcements now.
Alright, so again, I throw that smoke there as cover. And if any guards get caught in it. Okay, we go up these stairs. You know, they do the same thing. And then what I'm gonna do here is collect some rations, starting with this one. Even though I do have other items like regain and noodles, I do want to try to use rations first, since they are the easiest to acquire. Regain and noodles are a little bit more rare to find, even though they do the most healing. So I try to save them for last if possible. So in this run, I got pretty unlucky with the guards. You know, I took a lot of damage. But that concludes getting into the lab, and now I'm going to set up for this next fight. So I got all the weapons I need. And I'm also going to equip the M4, which is going to be not for this sequence, but for a later one. So we meet up with Naomi. She would normally give you the syringe here, but since it's a New Game Plus, I already have it. We will not have to go through the prompt of, you know, skipping it, you know, anytime you receive a new item. She goes on about stuff about nanomachines, and, you know, she kind of checks out Snake's conditions and his aging, you know, that sort of thing. But now we go up against the next frog encounter. You know, because after all, it wouldn't be Metal Gear without a guard rush ambush. So, first thing I'm going to do is equip the stuns, throw it over this partition wall here, as well as a second one, and then a third one as a safety. You know, because we're trying to knock out all the frogs in the other side of the lab as fast as possible. I know, like, kills are irrelevant, but we're just trying to take them out as quickly as we can. So we shoot the ground, make them turn around. Like the other guards, it just makes them turn around sooner. So that one was a little bit late, but I'm going to try it again. And the reason why I'm standing in this particular spot is the frogs will spawn in, like, based on where you are. So I'm manipulating their spawn, you know, just by standing there. You know, and it's not like there's any, like... It's not like there's any, like, secret, like, you know, technique to it or anything. It's just something where people over time notice, like, oh, if you stand in this spot in the lab, it makes enemies do this. And we're actually going to do that again here. With actually the first boss fight of the run being Laughing Octopus. So, after dodging or gunfire, we're going to charge up the railgun all the way, fire a round off to the center mass. Now, as you can see, it did a third of damage, which is a lot. And then we stand there while blowing up those little, like, remote mines, which is not only meant to destroy them, but it also influences where Octopus spawns here. Then we're going to stand in this room, wave the camera around a little bit, which spawns the fake Otacon droid. Then we're going to stand here, aim at this window, which, if I did it right, I would get... Okay, so I did not get the face skip. There's a thing where if you stand at the right spot, when you take out the Otacon unit, you will actually get a thing where instead of seeing the fake frog, you'll actually get Laughing Octopus to just relocate during the hide-and-seek phase. So just a minor time save. Plot twist, it was really Naomi. Not really. She's just playing mind games. So again, we're just going to charge the railgun, fire off one final shot, and just like that, the fight's over. Yeah, so having the railgun like this is really unique to, like, how big of an advantage you have over trying to do this, like, on a new game run. You know, just given, like, what access to weapons you have.
She's shed her suit.
So this is the second phase, where instead of fighting them in their beast form, you know, they're just kind of back to their, you know, somewhat fan servicey suits. I mean, I'll just say it for what it is. You know, I mean, they kind of had an interesting direction with the boss designs.
Yep.
But basically, each fight is in 2 parts where you fight the beast form, meaning there's some kind of like, you know, Metal Gear like enhancement type. You know, what if it's an exoskeleton suit, a mech, you know, jetpack enhancement, something to that effect. And once you beat their first form, they then shed off of that into their human form, which we just simply lay down and fire off rounds to their head.
Find out where they took her.
Why lying down, you might ask?
You might run into a
Well, it's because whenever you lie down during that phase of the fight, they will crawl down to you, and they are unable to dodge any gunfire while crawling, which is weird because when they're standing and you try to shoot them, they can actually, you know, bob and weave around the gunfire. I don't know, maybe they're secretly, you know, maybe they're secretly enhanced by nanomachines or something out of the Matrix where, like, you know, you see the agents dodging gunfire left and right. I don't know. I really can't explain it. So, Naomi got taken by Vamp. We're trying to find them. Since I memorized the pathway, we're just gonna go ahead and follow it.
He's here. I can smell him. He's about 50 meters dead ahead.
50 meters, huh? Maybe take the 0 off. I'm a lot closer than you think.
Hey! Hey!
Yeah, because normally the game tells you to use your solid eye with the thermal imaging, or the night vision goggle feature to see the footsteps on the ground, but, you know, since we played this game before, I know exactly where to go. But from a casual perspective, it is very easy to get lost in here. Alright, so again, we're just shooting the ground, make them turn around sooner. I just memorized where the frogs are. There's one around this corner, too. And then we're gonna have a little bit of fun with this guard right here who's planning a claymore mine.
We got a hostile!
You know, we just kind of use our own weapons against them. Hey, what's up, JJ? Yeah, keep in mind for people tuning in, I'm minimizing, you know, my attention to notifications and, you know, all that stuff until the recording's over. But Beef Chief, thank you for the follow earlier. Most appreciated. Alright, so we're making our way to the last portion of this sequence, if you would, where we're going to begin the first of 2 vehicle-based auto-scrollers. One is with this APC tank, and then there'll be another one in Act 3 later. So we're now riding aboard the APC tank that Drebin drives around, where we're going to make our way out of here into the marketplace to actually escape.
Bringing the chopper to the other side of the market up ahead. That's as close as I can get. You've got to make it to the market somehow. Damn it! Snake, to fire the machine gun.
So, like the bike escape in MGS4, you don't have to worry about alerts exactly. You're just taking out enemies that are in your way. And big boss runs for New Game Plus, they would use the solar gun, which is a unlockable weapon you would have to unlock through doing a series of tasks, which is a really good non-lethal weapon. When fully charged, it takes out enemies instantly, regardless of what it might be, including these power suits. But since this is any percent, we're using the machine gun.
Deal with them.
That guy's having fun. Guess he just wants to hang out today.
Echo, they must really like him.
Alright, so we're trying to ignore the PMCs who are kind of acting all like zombified because Liquid initiated the SOP system, which disables the nanomachine suppression that was previously in effect. You know, like, it would suppress things like, you know, battle fatigue, PTSD, you know, combat high, and then when he disables that, they just kind of go into this, like, really weird, I don't know, I just call them zombies because they kind of act like them, but in the meantime, We're trying to just take out these geckos by aiming for the weak spot, which are these little, like, round, circular objects on the top of their head. And then dealing with any guards that get on top of the tank. There's normally a thing where a gecko can charge the tank and kick it. With good RNG, that's what you want, because as much as it may damage the tank a little bit, when they kick the tank, it'll actually shrug off any of the guards that are up here. You know, and then minimizing having to deal with them on your own, but I don't know, it's RNG if a gecko kicks the tank at the beginning. And unfortunately, I did not get that here. No, Drebin, you the man.
Yeah, baby!
Gaming Fox, thank you for the follow. What's up?
Oh, shit! Got an MGS on our ass.
Alright, so with this area, we're gonna deal with the hardest mini-boss in the game, which is totally a real mini-boss, not made up in any way, which is shooting the world's strongest gate.
Snake, shoot the gate!
Think you gotta do something about that MGS!
Yo, Drebin, I'm trying to take out the gate. I mean, you know, what is it? Take out the tank or take out the gate? Make up your mind. I don't know, for whatever reason, they just decided to add a gate that just takes thousands of rounds to take it out. You know, because unfortunately, you can't use things like RPGs, rocket launchers, grenade launchers. Doesn't really seem to do that much difference over using the mounted gun.
The gate! Snake, shoot the gate!
And then Otacon's just trying to help. I'm like, I'm clearly shooting the gate, but maybe he's just trying to make sure I'm on task.
Get ready for some speed!
I love it when he says that and then he hits the brakes. Alright, so we're gonna have another group of 3 geckos spawn in here. Shoot 2 of them out. Third one's gonna hop over.
Those gecko will try to ram you.
And take it out along with another tank that comes up. Then we're gonna see Drebin show off his skills here.
Hang on! It's gonna get bumpy!
That was 10 out of 10.
Up front! Here they come!
Yeah, he taught that other driver a lesson. Alright, so this is the final stretch of the, tank section.
Almost there.
Yeah, we're just taking out these geckos as we see them.
You can do it.
And then once Drebin says, hang on,
Don't fall!
or don't fall off, then we're gonna pop the syringe right before this loading sequence. The reason being, in the event that the stress meter gets to 50%, which is pretty common on this difficulty, popping the syringe early like that will carry over into this next area, even by skipping the cutscene. It just makes it so that my stamina won't start draining when I, get through this marketplace. Because one of the things I didn't mention about the stamina bar is, like in MGS3, when it gets too low, you get shaky aim, weapon sway. If it's really low, any critical weapon hits you get struck by with guards will actually knock you unconscious. If you roll, Snake will actually kind of stagger and hurt his back. But one of the other reasons why I like New Game Plus is to get to that exit, you know, just nothing that does a better job of clearing out geckos than using the Beretta 50 caliber. I mean, it just takes them out, you know, just like that. A few shots to the head, or if you're really lucky, you hit the weak spot, which is an insta-kill. But fun fact, that gecko at the exit there at the marketplace can actually arrive late. It's not really known why it does that. But most times it does hop in place and blocks your exit. You could try to roll through it if you time it right. Most times when I try to do it, I fail. And in this difficulty, when they do a 360 sweep, you know, when the gecko does it, it's an insta-kill. Unless if you're carrying a healing item. But most times I just figured, you know what, when in doubt, just blast it. Hey, what's up, Cobweb? And that concludes Act 2. Now going into Act 3. Where we're now going into Eastern Europe. Yeah, when in doubt, blast it out. Exactly. That is definitely a reoccurring theme with any percent, just like, you know, ignoring all the alerts and, you know, the big boss mask scaring everybody. Alright, so unlike Act 1 and 2, we are not going to use the big boss mask here because we're now tasked with a different sequence, which is going to be more stealth-based. But before we do any of that, again, we're just going to do some inventory management. We're going to equip the MK2 pistol, and we're going to trade out the 50 caliber for the VZ83, which is a submachine gun type. I believe it's either I think it's a Scorpion weapon type. I actually thought it was an Uzi for many years until I was corrected when they said, you know, no, that's really the Scorpion. I was like, man, that just blew my mind. But we'll explain the reasoning for having this on later. And then for our disguise, since we're not going to be really using the big boss mask, we're just going to use something other than the old Snake or young Snake appearance, because right now Snake's appearance is registered in the PMC database. They know what he looks like and they'll be alerted to him. But since we're dressed up like this, which is totally not weird whatsoever, we're just gonna make our way into starting what's the resistance section, where we have to follow this resistance guy to where the hideout is. And even though it's on New Game Plus, the game requires it. I wish it didn't. I find it rather slow. But there's a couple things we can do to speed it up. And I'll explain that once this starts. Hey, what's up, Mud Crab? Alright, so first thing I'm gonna do is shoot a round off at his feet.
You found a resistance member. It's time.
And if we did this right, it's gonna send him into a panic run and go forward and to the right. Okay, so by having him go this way, he's gonna run around this block and then end up around this corner. And doing this just makes him go faster in his patrol. Otherwise, his scripted walk sequence is very slow, and we're just cutting the time down. I mean, I just do that for fun. There's nothing really related to kicking the can there, but I just like doing it. So, resistance guy's out of his hiding spot, and then as soon as he starts whistling again, we're gonna start making our way through by taking out these guards, but in a different way. So we equip the crying anesthetic rounds, which instead of knocking them out outright, they're just gonna go into tears. And there's a reason for this. So for whatever reason, whenever the resistance guy sees a guard, they will stop and take cover if they're up and about. If he sees them unconscious, he will stop and pause to look at them before resuming his walk. But if they're under the effects of a crying round, he just ignores them. You know, he just kind of walks through as if they're not even there. And while we're waiting we're just gonna have some fun of our own. And the reason for this iPod is because this section is rather slow at times, so we're just gonna chill out to some tunes. You know, because in case I ever get questioned, I'm just saying, you know what, I'm out for a nightly stroll and I'm listening to my iPod. Hey, what's up, Token Function? What's up, everybody?
To the day when everything is gone.
Yeah, so the game has unlockable soundtracks through the iPod, which some are required in-game, where you just have to find where they are. Others, you have to do certain things, like either emblem-related. Some, you can enter a code. But I've just collected the ones I was able to get, and then just play them through areas like this, where there's not really a whole lot going on. Because like in MGS4, when you have Eva falling behind you, you only move as fast as the resistance guy. Hey, what's up, Wolfie? Alright. Alright, so our guy didn't really go to the restroom when we started this patrol, so he's gonna kind of relieve himself. And while he does that, I'm gonna set up by tranking these two guards with the crying rounds. And I'm gonna temporarily swap to regular anesthetic rounds. Because again, normally, when the resistance guy sees these two guards there, he'll kind of hunch over by this like set of grass here. And by having them under the crying rounds like this, he'll just, you know, he'll just resume his movement. He won't really stop for very long. Okay, so unfortunately I used the crying rounds a little bit too early. Because you could see right there, like, that's why he paused when he sees them unconscious all of a sudden. So just a little bit of a time loss. But not the end of the world, so we can still keep going, because even though this disguise will fool the PMC guards, we do not want the resistance guy to notice us at all. Because again, we want him to move as much as possible without having to stop. Alright, so he's gonna keep moving. And then as he makes his way down, we're gonna take out these pair of guards here, which is very important that you do this. Because if you do not take out these two guards before the resistance guy makes his way to this corner, he will not make his way through here. Because you want him to take this fork in the road during his walk, because it is shorter to the end zone where he needs to be.
This is HQ.
Because normally, if you leave these two guards up, he'll kind of peek around this corner a few times, go back up the stairs, and go left.
Use extra
Which will take you through an extra area. But by taking him out like this, he will go directly to where he needs to be. It's a lot faster. So now I'm playing some rather fitting music here, which is the theme of Terra, which is often like the VR theme that you would hear in, you know, Metal Gear Solid 1. There's a lot of waiting involved, so I'm just kind of jamming.
This is HQ. Understood. The state of alert has been lifted. Resume positions.
Alright, so now we can move along again. So as soon as he reaches this loading zone, we just run right on through, and then he'll move forward. But fun fact for the multi-segment version of this category, there's actually a checkpoint manipulation you can use, which is referred to as the resistance trick. But since we're in a single segment format, we cannot do that. But basically, the resistance trick is where you can actually advance the resistance agent forward without losing in-game time, and then using checkpoints to your advantage. But in this format, we're just gonna do everything we can to, you know, make him move forward as quickly and efficiently as possible. You know, 1 being the misdirect shot, 2 using crying rounds whenever necessary, and then the 3rd being a second misdirect, which is not gonna be in this area, but the next one. Alright, so one thing to note as well is that even though I'm in this disguise, like I said, and it fools the guards, the one thing you always gotta be careful of, because I always make this mistake here, is when I run through with a weapon out, because if a guard sees you with a weapon, regardless of what you look like, they will be alerted to you immediately. And it becomes a mess trying to salvage it, in the event that happens. What else can we play? This is a classic. You know, I like to say that they're really crying because they're just terrified at the fact of, you know, trying to go up against Psycho Mantis. He's a scary dude. You know, he can read your mind, he can move your controller. I mean, you know, the guy is definitely scary. I've seen you played Super Smash Bros. Melee before. Ah, I've seen you played Castlevania. Man, good times. So much, like, there's so much nostalgia reference. You know, even through something like a soundtrack, and that's really one of the things I appreciate in games like this. And so by being in this spot, this is the example of, like, why it's routed this way, because normally if you do not get him to go the right path, he will end up coming through this side and going through a whole nother area, and again, we wanna be fast. So this is gonna be the second of the 2 misdirect shots that we're gonna be using here. So our resistance friend's gonna change his outfit to look like one of the PMC guards, and what we're gonna do is shoot the ground where that door frame is, and if I did this right, he'll run forward and then to the left.
There's something fishy about that PM.
Okay, unfortunately I did not get it, so I'm gonna try it again by leaving the area and loading it back. Because when he runs forward and to the right down that alley, it's not as fast. And the nice thing about attempting this is that by reloading the room, since it's a checkpoint, it'll actually respawn the resistance guy right at the doorway here. Shoot the ground. Okay, and then see if I got it. Okay, so it's not looking like it wants to work. So I'm just gonna let that go. Because any other reattempts, and it's not really gonna be any faster than just having him doing it normally. So what's nice about this area is that since he's in a guard disguise, he'll just kind of patrol on his own for the most part. I will not have to, like, stay behind him for a lot of it. So while he makes his way, let's just let's pick another tune. Oh yeah, this is what I always like playing. Yeah, which is kind of a preview of what's to happen after this. And let me just kind of tell you one thing about this guy's disguise. And you tell me if he looks like one of them. You know, because again, I'm just kind of making fun of the fact of, like, how oblivious and dumb the guards can be. But look at this guy's outfit, alright? He's got what looks like a biker's helmet for a guard helmet. He's not carrying any rifles or any main weapons. These guys are legit. This looks like he got it at, like, the discount guard, like, outfittery. And he left his weapon at home. But yet, they just be like, yep, looks like one of us. I mean, like, you think my disguise looks ridiculous? I mean, look at this guy. I mean, look, I mean, he blends in so well. He's gonna lead a patrol with them. The surplus star guard. He does airsoft. I don't know, man. I mean, like I said, I just find it really weird, like, why these guys are not even suspicious of him. I mean, look at his helmet! Look! It looks like a biker's helmet, like for a bicyclist. I mean, like, and there's no main weapon. Like, yeah, I think he's got a sidearm, but that's it. Every other guard has, like, some kind of, like, rifle. What if it's the MK17 or whatever? But, like, he's got nothing. Oh, well. But anyways, one thing you gotta look out for is, again, not having our friends notice us, but it's this Humvee. You don't want it to run over this guy, and it can and will do it. And thank God it didn't, because I've lost runs to having this Humvee run them over. You know, they just kind of seem like they own the road. They don't brake for anything. He's an officer, they dress differently. Yeah, some guy they never met is suddenly their officer. But yeah, I can buy that. You know, while this guy kind of takes his sweet time, I wish I can go into this beer garden. Sounds like a nice place. Alright, so again, he's just making his way through, and I'm just gonna play Kick the Can again. Man, it's harder than it looks. There we go. Now that was a nice bounce, and it's like, oh man, now look what you did. You scared the birds by kicking that can. I don't believe I do, Wolfie. I don't have all the iPod songs unlocked, because some of them I either haven't acquired, they need a special code, and the Snake Eater theme needs to be done by unlocking every emblem, which, that's a really big commitment. I mean, you know, this guy just likes honking at me for whatever reason. I mean, he does have clearance. Hey, what's up, Canby? Alright, so we're finally coming up to the end of the resisted section. You know, I'll admit that this is probably the not so exciting part of the run. You know, because, like, I really wish you can just go right to where the hideout is, considering it's New Game Plus, you've beaten the game before, but, you know, I think it's just story-driven. You know, if there's anybody out there that finds a way to just bypass this whole thing, I mean, everybody in MGS4 that runs the game would love to hear it. But he's gonna swap out of his, you know, surplus guard outfit back into his civilian disguise. And then we just follow up right behind him. Then ending the section. But, I mean, I guess the one thing to appreciate with that part is, you know, the misdirect shots you can do to help speed up his movement. Unfortunately, I did not get both of them. Because getting both will save probably like a couple minutes, like total, if you actually get it. But in this case, I only got the one at the start and then a partial on the end, which is not the end of the world. But, I mean, it's certainly better than not doing anything. Like, if you just let him move on his own, like, it's just really slow.
There was nothing.
So, we meet up with Big Mama, who is actually Eva from MGS3. You know, it kind of explains everything from her perspective, you know, revealing more of the plot. And then, starting, guess what? Another vehicle auto-scroller!
We have to keep Big Boss's body out of enemy hands, no matter what. Get the body safely to the canal escape point.
Alright, so doing things a little bit differently this time. And since it's New Game Plus, we're doing this with style. So we're going to be equipping the Patriot, which is unlockable through the Drop-In Shop, and the XM25, which is for a setup later in the run. So every time you equip the Patriot, you kind of hear a familiar tune. Yeah, which kind of goes something like this. I feel like I've heard that before somewhere. So, we're using the Patriot here for any percent. Infinite ammo, you know, regardless of the fact that it's a, you know, an escape segment, but it's rather, it has an infinite clip, not necessarily an infinite ammo. You know, you never have to reload. It's perfect for this. You know, it'll get the job done rather easily. Yeah, I'm just kind of messing with the geckos. Okay, they did not take too kindly to that, but that's what the rations are for. So we're gonna use auto aim for part of it. It'll just lock onto the guards easier. There will be some moments where I'll aim it manually, but for the most part, I'll just kind of let the auto aim do its job. You know, I almost feel like it's fitting when I use this weapon like that during this part because, you know, Eva's here. It's playing the, you know, part of the Snake Eater theme. Like, it doesn't get any better than that for nostalgia points. Now, normally in a thing like this for big boss runs, this is where runs go to die. But for any percent, we're just kind of taking it easy. Alright, so frogs are now getting into the mix. You know, they move a lot faster than the PMCs do. Very acrobatic too, so they jump on top of the vehicle at times, so you just gotta take them out. Because although the P90 is not really like a high damage weapon, you know, since it fires 9mm rounds, it does a lot of damage to the van for whatever reason. You know, so you do have to, you know, do things to kind of like intervene with that. Alright, so we're gonna equip the XM25, which is a, you know, semi-auto grenade launcher type. We're gonna be using this to fire on Raging Raven when she's flying in the air, chasing us. Which is, again, part of a setup to do damage early that will carry over into the actual fight with her later.
I've got...
This was a strategy shown to me by Sergeant Silent, who runs the any percent Big Boss rank category. He's also done all the other difficulties besides the Boss Extreme. So I'm just firing off a few rounds, just making sure it hits her. For safety, you only have to hit her once. Alright, so I'm pretty sure I hit her. If I didn't, you know, I'll pay for it later, but... You know, hitting her once is going to take off exactly 25% of her total health bar away, which is going to be for a quick kill knockout in the fight with her later. And the weapon of choice against her there is going to be the railgun. Since, like Laughing Octopus, she's vulnerable to it. So, not really a whole lot going on here, just a lot of these, like, scripted encounters. You know, just take out the gunners. Because, I mean, for an 8% run, it's pretty relaxed, but for Big Boss, it's a lot more dangerous trying to take these guys out without killing them, but we're in an 8%, so we're going wild with the Patriot.
Nice one, Snake.
Ah, thanks, Otacon, as a vehicle blew up next to me. Yo, Limitless, thank you for the 3 gifted subs. Yo, those getting a sub from Limitless, welcome to the Joe Stars. Yo, thank you so much for doing that. Slow motion. Alright, so we're just gonna auto-aim from here on out.
Nice work.
Man, she's tough for taking a round like that. But we're coming up to the end here. So now, even though I'm using the barrels to kind of take them out in advance, which is normally a non-lethal tactic for big boss runs, it also just so happens to be convenient. You know, like, it doesn't have to be like, you know, you can only use barrels for non-lethal runs, but, you know, when it's convenient, I just use them anyway. Ah, for some flare points.
I think we lost them.
That was a nice wheelie she pulled off. Alright, and that ends the bike escape. So, Act 3 is sort of like a mixed bag. You know, it's a, you know, stealth following a guy around, and then you got a bike segment, which is, again, another auto-scroller. But now we're actually going to be, you know, fighting bosses again. And hopefully you'll see that when I start this, Raging Raven's health is already reduced to 75%, which is doing that setup earlier with the grenade launcher. Next, I'm gonna stand right about here, aiming at this window, charging the railgun to full. And then when she flies into the view there, fire off a round, and she's dead. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler than that. You know, and again, that, you know, 2-hit knockout setup was shown to me by Sergeant Silent, so shoutouts to him. You know, because it definitely makes that encounter a lot easier.
Snake, she's come out of her suit. Watch out! She's gonna try to grab you.
Okay. Okay, she's not gonna want to cooperate, so I'm just gonna bite the bullet and just equip the 50 caliber. If she doesn't grab me first. Alright, thankfully she didn't, but I don't know, sometimes I can get away with not having it equipped, you know, and then other times they do stuff like that where they just suddenly stand upright for no reason. I don't really know why it happens. But that is Act 3. Just gonna skip through the rest of the cutscenes. You know, Liquid Ocelot makes an appearance again. Uses the SOP system, which again suppresses the nanomachine activity within everyone that has them. Which, you know, because Snake is also using the nanomachines, that kind of disables him. Except for one person, you know, who's the only one without the nanomachines, and, you know, we'll figure out who he is later. Turns out he's actually critical to the story because of it. But that concludes Act 3. Now going into Act 4. And we're going to be going to a very familiar place. You know, a place where most people that know the MGS franchise, you know, it's usually one of the places they first started. You know, unlike myself, I started with Metal Gear Solid 2. I played MGS1 later in life, but I just, again, I feel like they really did put in some, like, nice references throughout the game. And in this one, we're going to be taking a little bit of a trip down memory lane. I mean, literally. Because, you know what? I mean, we're going to take a break from running MGS4 for a little bit. You know, I think old Snake kind of needs a nap. You know, the guy's been running for, I don't know, over an hour, so we're going to let someone else take over. Because we're speeding MGS1, baby. Let's go. So, we're going to take the alert, grab the chaffs, hope we don't get shot in the back. Okay, so he was mean that time, but we're going to run with the chaff in hand because it makes you run faster than being unequipped. Okay, I was trying to roll that guard over, but the nice thing about that is it's only that area. Doesn't matter if you get spotted or if you even get killed. It doesn't negatively affect the scorecard whatsoever. But that's right. We're going back to Shadow Moses. It's like, my God, I had that dream again. I was like, Snake, it's okay, man. I'm here. It was just a dream. He was like, oh man, I was dreaming of speedrunning Metal Gear Solid 1 again. Shoutouts to all the MGS1 runners. Helipad any percent nightmare, exactly. Alright, so again, a few things before we start. So our disguise of choice is gonna be one of another reference, not really related to Metal Gear, but it's from a familiar character, which is the Altair outfit from Assassin's Creed 1. Next, we're gonna swap out the Patriot for Chaff Grenade, which is only acquired in-game. It is not sold in the Drebin shop, so I've had to farm for these since there's only a total of 8 you can get in one playthrough. And to get more than this, you would have to play the game at least twice. You have a maximum of 10. But 8 is the minimum that I need. Next, we're gonna swap out the railgun for the MGL launcher. And you might be wondering, well, what does the LTR outfit do? Well, it doesn't really do anything. It's just mainly for aesthetics, since, you know, instead of going up against PMC guards here, we're going up against geckos and the miniaturized, you know, versions of them being the dwarf geckos. If they see you, it doesn't matter what camo index you have, so I figured we might as well do this stylish. Oh, but there it is. Shadow Moses. So, unlike the original game,
Front hangar door is open.
the hangar's actually
A
open.
little bit at least. You can get in that way if you want.
So, we're using the chaff grenades to disable all the dwarf geckos and camera ones in the room. Otherwise, it makes it a lot harder to get through here.
Are you Solid Snake? The legendary Solid Snake? You?
Don't worry. You'll land back on them.
So, we're gonna hug left here, which is gonna be timed with this patrol with these two geckos. So, as long as you hug left, you will not get caught. Because getting an alert here is not only bad because of the geckos that would come after you, but the doors, the hangar doors would close. You know, so ideally you do want to just go through undetected, whether if it's any percent, big boss, new game, chaff grenades are a must. You know, it just makes life easier, and the dialogue that you hear is, you know, from the remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 Twin Snakes. It is not from the original Metal Gear Solid 1 game. I guess for reasons they were unable to use the original dialogue, or if they chose to use the Twin Snakes dialogue. Alright, so we gotta go open up this door, but there's no power to it.
I checked the AP.
So we gotta go back to another familiar place.
Energy output is low, but it should be enough to power the elevator. Try the elevator and see if it's working.
Sorry, no return trip to B1, unfortunately. But there's another one that I think most people know.
Okay, first go down the central hallway. Don't worry, it's not electrified anymore.
Yeah, better not be. Yeah, I spent a lot of time using that Nikita. Yep, that's right. We were going to the computer lab where we first meet Otacon, as well as fight the ninja Great Fox. So, because we don't remember what the password is, nor do we care, we're just gonna hit start and just be like, oh, yep, sorry, Otacon, we forgot. But another fun fact, if you type in the code 14893, which is Drebin's arms dealer number, it'll actually give you 100,000 Drebin points for punching that in, which is not really needed for New Game Plus, but for New Game, it is very nice to get for just punching in that code. But in this case, we're just spamming start. It's faster. Don't really care if we know the password or not to turn on the power. And when we turned on the power, the gecko kind of noticed what we did, so anticipating its arrival, I, you know, greeted it with the warming gift of the 50 caliber rifle.
Okay, Snake. Take the stairs down and go to the north door. I'll open it for you with the Mark III.
Alright, now you might be thinking, well, okay, I mean, it's straightforward from here, right? I mean, you blew up that gecko. Right? Right? Oh, no. They could use elevators? Oh my god! Oh no, what are we gonna do? Oh, I know.
Oh man, more gecko. The Mark III is totally defenseless while working on the door.
Yeah, that wasn't too hard, right? Oh man, I remember a New Game trying to distract that gecko for 3 minutes, but nothing like a 50 caliber rifle can't solve, right? Alright, so we're gonna set up for the next boss fight, which is gonna be against Crying Wolf. Which we're gonna need... Okay, so we got... So We're gonna use M4, MK2.
Okay, Snake, it's open now.
Yeah, so by killing that gecko quickly like that, you just only have to wait, like, 10 or so seconds and not the 3 minutes. Since the game kind of recognizes, oh, hey, you beat the gecko. I mean, because I'll tell you, it wouldn't be fun having to wait those 3 minutes despite having that gecko destroyed. I know, it kind of seemed, silly. Alright, so we're in the snowfield, which is where previously in this timeline you fought Sniper Wolf, but we're fighting somebody a little bit different. Which is Crying Wolf, where she uses a, like, beast mech to, like, move around. She also snipes out of it. It's very dangerous to fight her directly while she's like that. So, our first task is to locate her because one of the random elements with this fight is her spawn point. She can spawn in one of, like, dozen places. And right now, I think I can see her, where this is a good spawn to get, where she's off to the left from the start. It's the fastest point to get to her. But I'm going to be really cautious here because I've had, bad experiences here. So I'm going to throw a blue smoke, make sure it hits her and she's coughing. Alright, next I'm going to throw another one just to make sure it hits her while firing 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. That's the fight. So you might be wondering, well, wait a minute, what in the world just happened? Well, a few things. One, since the blue smoke is a crying round, it is a natural weakness against Crying Wolf when you fight her. And then secondly, when she's hit by a smoke when her pod is open, with her beast mech, the smoke will make her cough, which kind of opens up her hitbox, where every stun nade round that you fire her with the MGL140 does not really hit her iframes, like her hitbox cooldown, where she'll take a big hit 2 to 3 times, reset, and then she'll move. So not only does it not really interfere with that, but the crying smoke, the blue smokes, will do a little bit of stamina damage, like as she's hit by it, and then the stun nades just insta-kill her. Or not kill her, exactly. So it's a really delicate setup. The randomness is just praying for a good spawn, which I did get. So, nicely done there. Alright, so we're gonna swap back to those. Equip the solar gun. And looks like that's everything we need. So we're gonna throw a chaff, where we've now arrived into the blast furnace, playing again another familiar tune. Hey, what's up, Double? And Melon.
Snake. I've got something to tell you about Naomi Hunter.
So this is the solar gun, which is unlocked by beating all the bosses non-lethally, both in beast and human form, in addition to beating the frogs in Act 1 non-lethally. And for every event that you complete doing so, you have to collect this figurine, which is a thing that's seen on the airplane command center that Otacon flies around. And once you've done all of that, then you get this as a reward, which not only knocks out enemies faster when fully charged, but allows you to do stuff like this.
Sunlight! Sunlight!
I don't know why it does it the way it does it to charge the weapon, but I'm sure we all appreciate it. I just do that for fun. Since we're waiting to go down 5 floors in that elevator. So, we open up the room with a chaff there. Gets me through. And then we followed up with a second one right about here. Which is, again, gonna carry over and then disable this room. And you gotta be really delicate how you do this because geckos are disabled temporarily while under the chaff, but it does not last forever. But the little dwarf geckos are disabled as long as the chaff is, you know, in effect. And we're gonna do it again right here, because sneaking through this area without this is next to impossible.
Finally.
And if you get caught, like, hundreds of these things come in, and, you know, you can't unlock the door during an alert.
Rex is on the floor above you. Use the lift.
So, continuing this trip down memory lane, we're arriving into the hangar where we fought Metal Gear Rex in Metal Gear Solid 1. Fighting a familiar opponent who doesn't really originate from this place, but we know him as Vamp. And we have his greatest weakness, which is the solar gun when fully charged.
Take Vamp. Kill that monster. Yes! You did it, Snake!
You know, nice fully charged solar gun. Grab him and give him his booster shot. What's normally like a 2-3 minute fight turns into like a 20-second encounter. So that was Vamp.
Suicide gecko.
You know,
They blow
just like MGS2 and speedruns, he's very cheesable.
I'm sending you data on where to aim.
And this is more of a, not really an auto-scroller, but it's an interactive event where Raiden is, you know, dueling Vamp on top of Rex while we're covering him from all these geckos coming in with the railgun. You can actually use the 50 caliber weapon on them, but the thing of it is the magazine size for the railgun is much longer, so you have more shots you can make without having to reload. And then secondly, the charge level to take these out is not as, you know, important. You know, fully charged is, you know, level 3, which is when you hear like the click chime. It takes a minimum like of a level 2 charge
Stop blinking, it'll blow.
to actually take these things out, even if you don't hit them in the weak spot. So we're just kind of hanging around and taking them out while Raiden and Vamp are having fun.
Just like... Damn! Here they come again! Hang in there, Snake! Don't give up!
Ooh, nice little double kill there.
They're coming from above!
Now, they come in pretty consistently. You know, the geckos, so it's just all scripted. You just gotta anticipate when they're spawning in. You know, charge up your railgun. Alright, that one was being a little bit persistent. But man, just picture this though. Like, imagine if Altair was actually here like this with the railgun of all weapons. You know, talk about like, you know, cross-platforming here.
Just like that, Snake!
Alright, so the whole idea with this is not only just to take them out, but these particular geckos right here, the ones with the flashing red lights, they're armed with explosives, which if you allow them to detonate will pretty much, you know, blow up the whole area, get a game over. You know, obviously don't want that. I think that's all of them. So we're also just gonna have a little bit of fun here. Just cheer on for Raiden.
Sunlight! 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 Sunlight!
It's like, go Raiden, go! Go Raiden, go! I don't know what else you want from me. I mean, you know, there's a certain part of this where you just have to just, you know, do nothing. So you might as well just have fun with it. Hey, what's up, J-Dot? Yeah, I mean, he's basically just trying to cheerleader. It's like, don't worry, Raiden, you got this. Alright, now comes the really fun part, which for the first time ever in this series, you actually get to pilot a Metal Gear. And not only just any Metal Gear, but we're piloting Rex, baby. I mean, these Gecko thinking they're Metal Gear. Oh man, they've never seen Rex. I mean, you know, ladies and gentlemen, make way for the real Metal Gear. I mean, these Geckos think they got something. They think they're scary, but they don't have a chance against Rex. So, for this, you know, we're just dashing forward constantly. It's faster to do that than moving normally. And you may also notice I've equipped to the anti-tank missiles out of the options of minigun, plasma laser, and the missiles. It's going to be setting up for what's hopefully going to be a quick kill on Ray coming up. You know, so kind of like a duel of the Metal Gears, if you would. You know, Metal Gear Rex. You know, the one that most are kind of familiar with, where it all started, and then Ray, who's supposed to be the anti-Metal Gear. And so, I mean, the debate must have happened where it's like, who would win in a fight of Rex versus Ray? Who is the... Which Metal Gear would come out on top? Well, in this game, we're gonna settle it right here, right now. Which is gonna be after I get out of here and just keep dashing through these things. Alright, so we got one more tunnel section after this side dash, and then we should be done. Oh man, I'll tell you, I don't remember Rex doing that in Metal Gear Solid 1 when I fought it. Yeah, maybe it got some upgrades. Alright, so... Oh, okay, I guess I forgot to split those, but... So what I'm going to do here is fire half of my rounds into Ray while taking a couple steps forward, letting it jump to the right while I stare to the right with my camera. So as it jumps over, I was charging my laser and then firing at him when he landed, which takes half of his HP, because for whatever reason, when Ray drops down like this, his hitbox is wide open to laser charges. So, like Vamp, what was normally a couple minutes of chasing, you know, Ray around piloted by Liquid Ocelot turns into a, you know, 30-second encounter, you know, give or take.
Fire!
Let's see. And, actually, no, wait, I messed up that split as well. But that is Act 4, and we're at 1 hour 30 minutes in-game, which is not too far behind PB pace, but, in this 90% run, that fight right there is one of my biggest concerns because, you know, there's things I can do to control the other bosses leading up to it, but Ray is very particular and it's so sensitive because if you do not have the right steps, if your camera's not pointing in the right direction, or if you move too early, then it's going to manipulate Ray to move the wrong way and you will not get this, like, two-hop setup. But thankfully I got it. And it just makes the fight a whole lot easier. Because, again, for whatever reason, every time Ray jumps and it drops down, as long as you have a level 2 charge on the plasma laser and you make direct contact, it just takes about half his health away per shot. Alright, Act 5. So, we're coming near the end here. And, again, regardless of category, top deck of Outer Haven is the most dangerous place to get caught, because not only just the alert that happens, but the conditions of what happens. And in most cases, if you get caught in top deck, you know, you're not getting out alive, basically. So hopefully we won't have that happen. And we're gonna set up right now. So we're gonna set up with our smokes, tranquilizer chaff, and our M4. We're not gonna use the big boss mask again because we don't really need it anymore at this point.
Good job.
So first thing I'm gonna do is throw a smoke at this corner while these two frogs drop down.
Enemy units.
They will get hit by it, as will I, which is fine. Kind of acts as a buffer.
GW server room.
When these two frogs drop down, I'm gonna throw a smoke right behind them. Then I'm gonna lie down, wait for this frog to jump in, tranquilizer, then wait for the second one to come around the corner, followed by a third. Alright, next, I'm gonna throw a chaff right here, and then once it detonates, we're gonna make a run for it. Now, by doing this, it's gonna interfere with geckos that are patrolling the top deck, which is gonna delay their arrival time for the first one. The second one is gonna arrive right as I reach this door, which is okay.
Snake.
Because as long as I open up this door on 5 turns, and as long as nobody sees me, then we'll make it through just fine. And just like that, we're out of top deck. Because I'll tell you what, if you get caught by anybody in top deck, you know, the alert does not end. Frogs will swarm you, the geckos will chase you down, and it is near impossible to get through that door without being, you know, staggered by gunfire, the geckos. And in most cases, you just take a death to get out of it. You know, because unlike other areas of the game, when you get an alert, you could try to defuse it by either taking out guards that saw you, you hide in a place out of sight. But top deck is the exception. And thank goodness we're through it. Alright, so now we're coming up to, guess what? Another frog encounter! I mean, we just don't get enough of the guard rushes. But there's a unique way of dealing with this particular group. So first thing we're gonna do is tranquilize
Take out the enemy.
all but one. So we're gonna tranquilize that one. And then it's gonna be... There should be one more, which is right there. Alright, so I'm gonna try to get her closer. Alright, so once she gets hit by the smoke, I'm gonna tranquilize her. And then on the, you know, first smoke that, or the first cough that she does, I'm throwing these grenades one after the other, which is extending her incapacitation by the smoke. And because her health bar, or I'm sorry, her stamina from her health bar is at 0, and she's coughing like this, the game just doesn't know how to process what just happened. They're saying, hey, wait a minute, this frog who should be unconscious is still up. And the rest of the encounter is skipped. You know, it's normally like a 3-wave encounter sequence, but by doing that, you skip all of it. Saves you about maybe like 3-ish minutes, if you do it right. So now we're up against Screaming Mantis. And I'm just setting up for this and the follow-up. So, no controller 2 cheese this time. We're just gonna say, you know what, we don't need those stinking nanomachines. We're just gonna use a syringe, suppress it. And we're using the shotgun buckshot attachment of our M4 assault rifle because the hitbox of the buckshot is widest to hit the mantis doll that Screaming Mantis is using to control living beings. The Sorrow doll only controls the dead. And we need the Mantis doll to actually take out the boss. And funny enough, even though I have the Mantis doll from beating her before, you actually need to remove hers in order to beat her. Like, you can't use it from the start and then win. You know, that'd be way too good if you could.
Even if she tries to hurt you, Meryl's not acting of her own free will. Don't do anything to hurt her. knock her out if you have to, but don't hurt her.
Duly noted, Otacon, but don't worry, Merle will be fine. Yeah, kind of like the first game, she gets possessed again. You know, they try to use her against you. Yeah, the buckshot really makes this a lot easier, because trying to hit it with either a bullet, sometimes people will use the solar gun, but I don't know, the hitbox on these things are really weird. You know, or Mantis will just dodge them. Alright, so that was the final hit. We're gonna pick up her doll. And then when she goes to hit us, we're gonna swing the controller left and right, rather than what it says on screen. And the reason for swinging left to right is because, for whatever reason, you get most damage out of it, you know, because of the motion sensing, rather than doing this, which is what the game's telling you. I know, right? It's like, imagine the on-game instructions lying to you. So, that's all the B&B bosses. But man, it's like, I always found it weird, like, again, like, the game tells you to do this, and then people find out, hey, guess what? If you do this, you actually get more damage per swing. So then it's like, well, wait a minute, I could take it a step further. If I could somehow hold the L1, or I'm sorry, the R1 button, and then I just chuck my controller across the room, is that gonna do a lot of damage? But yeah, don't do that, by the way.
Enough is enough.
I don't know, I'm just joking, but like, it was just something I was like, man, I never really knew it worked like that.
Tongues of dying men enforce attention.
So, although this isn't appealing as the ladder in MGS4, we're going down what seems like the world's longest hallway.
I've got nothing to lose.
Where we're gonna be greeted by some friends that we know and hate. Which is why I have the last 2 chaff grenades to, you know, to disable them.
We'll meet again.
You know, because if you didn't get enough dwarf geckos in Act 4, well, you're gonna run into a lot more here.
Will spell doom for the human race.
Go!
So first thing after we skip these cutscenes is we're gonna throw a chaff right at the start. Okay, so I'm just gonna throw it immediately, which is gonna disable every dwarf gecko in the area. And then once I pass this group, and before that door, I'm gonna throw my last chaff, which is gonna be enough to carry me through the rest of this. Otherwise, trying to clear this area without them means you have to roll a lot to get through them. They'll grab you, they'll trip you. You know, I mean, chaffs make life easier. And again, if you didn't get enough of hallways, well, there's another one, but there's a little something different about it. You know, not one that I would want to go through, but you know, I mean, say hello to the world's biggest microwave. So, all we gotta do is move forward. Your health and stamina will drain over time, but as long as you make it to the very last part of it, that's all you need to do, because you can actually die in this hallway, get a continue, and then you gotta start this all the way over. But I kind of view this as another, like, interactive cutscene.
Are you alright?
Don't give up on me, Snake!
It's alright, Snake, we're almost there. I know it's hot in there, and hot is definitely an understatement. And you're getting zapped along the way. Alright, so now we're going into crawling. Just gotta spam the action button. Alright, come on, Snake. You got this, buddy. Alright, should be another zap right around here.
Don't give up on me, Snake.
Oh, there goes our solid eye. It served us well. Man, just look at his health bar right now. I mean, even though the timer's kind of obscuring it. But, I mean, he's running on willpower right now. There is no health left. His stamina is draining. And he's just running on guts and willpower. I mean, he's hurt. He's burning. He's being electrocuted left and right. But he ain't giving up. Yeah, and my finger mashing, that's true. Alright, so this is the cutscene you would have to trigger right...
You've got to keep moving.
right here. Once you get this, like, final zap, then you've made it. You know, you could just, you know, let go of, you know, having to mash, but I just do it anyway. But basically, as long as you trigger this sequence, you've made it. You know, like, Snake will not die out, but if you let Snake's HP and stamina go to 0 before that cutscene, guess what? Back to the beginning of the hallway. And now, with the final boss fight of the run, and soon to be time once I actually get the last hit on Liquid. And it starts with a good old fist fight with Brother Liquid. Which will start right about here once I skip this cutscene. And the sequences of this fight are pretty familiar. So first thing we're gonna do is, you know, just kind of, you know, avoid Liquid's punches, knock him over, and then we're gonna. So we're gonna knock him down a second time. I didn't get the right setup. So we're gonna heavy punch him here, break his guard, and then we're gonna 1-2 jab him repeatedly. And by doing this, his guard is wide open. He doesn't really block. So as long as you pause in between double tapping your punches, you can loop him entirely in phase 1, provided you don't, you know, mess up your combo, you get hit by him or knocked over. But that ends phase 1. And now we go into phase 2, where now he's gonna be a little harder to loop. You know, he's gonna move around a lot more, and he's gonna guard now instead of phase 1, where he just, he just kind of, free hands it, doesn't really block. So again, we're just doing our double punches. I'm trying to maintain it if I can. He's really hard to control here. And then you want to avoid those, like, sucker punches, if you would, where he, like, charges up his arm. They do a lot of damage if you get hit by it. But thankfully, they're easy to either interrupt or just dodge it by just dashing out of the way. Yeah, so that's the sucker punch right there, where he kind of like, powers it up there. Okay, so I think that should be enough to get into phase 3. Oops. Okay, I didn't mean to do that, but yes, you can CQC during all this, but you don't want to, because it just loses you time. Okay, that should definitely do it. Yeah, so, like, you transition into the next phase based on, like, health threshold on Liquid. Like, once you get him to a certain amount where it no longer goes down, and you just do a following hit, it goes into the next phase. Alright, so this is phase 3. The interface and the stamina gauges change to Metal Gear Solid 3. And we go back to our looping. And that's it. Or is it? Oh, per tradition. It's not over yet.
It's not over yet.
I don't know, man. You're looking awfully beat up over there. Alright, so we just gotta hit him... I think it's like 5 times. So this is 2... 3... Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's 4 to, like, knock him down a second time, and then it's 3 more to actually end the encounter. And just like the microwave hall, you can actually die in this part of the fight if you let him hit you too many times. All right, this is 2. All right, and the time is gonna come up on the final hit, right here. And time. 1:54:34. Definitely within my estimate of 2 hours. Just given worst case scenarios, any continues that may happen. You know, bad RNG with Crying Wolf on her spawn. But really good fight with Liquid overall. Good run, you know, for the most part. Some menuing, you know, mishaps here and there. But that concludes this submission for Metal Gear Solid 4. It's a pleasure to be able to run this game again like this. I'm running for any percent versus the big boss category. And before I let this kind of pan out, I just want to give shoutouts to the Metal Gear Speedrunners community, as well as everybody over there that runs this game. Shoutouts to Sergeant Silent, who's helped me improve my speedruns in this game, you know, and then also shoutouts to Sparty, you know, for his contributions. I mean, you know, I couldn't thank them enough. Also, shoutouts to you, the viewers, for watching this video, as well as the reviewers, you know, as you're collecting these for the AGDQ 2021 submissions. Like I stated at the beginning of the run, this game has not made a GDQ appearance. The game was released in 2008. GDQ started around 2010, 2011, and it has never made a main stage appearance. Understandably so. There was, you know, certain restrictions that, that could have prevented it. But with your consideration, I would definitely love to have this game get in. You know, it's definitely has its intensities, and it's very competitive within the speedrunning community. And with that, I will leave it there, and I hope you all enjoyed the run. And once again, thank you so much. This will be my 4th out of all my submissions. And with that, I'll leave it up to you. And I look forward to seeing what will get accepted. And of course, again, just, thank you all for watching, and good luck.